Hello and welcome to Cricket Nagar. I am Mehran, and today we have with us one of India's greatest sports writers and author and journalist, Mr. Vijay Lokapally, sir. So, how are you?
Thank you, Mehran. That was a very embarrassing, I should say, because I'm just a normal sports journalist, and I'm very happy that you've connected with me, and I'm very happy to be on this platform.
Thank you, sir. I'll just straight away dive into the few questions I have. First of all, of course, I just wanted to know from you how your journey has been as a sports journalist, right from Sports Star, then the Hindu, and how do you see basically now the change with the new kind of journalism with the social media and now, but a story being written with just one tweet, based on one tweet. So, how do you see that also?
I know. I think I've been very fortunate and grateful to God and some of my seniors and my fellow colleagues who made my sport journalism's journey and my career a very happy one, because we were a great team at the Hindu Sports Desk in Delhi, and along with my senior Mr. KP Mohan and my colleagues, wonderful colleagues I've had, Mr. Rakesh Rao, Mr. Kami Srinivasan, Mr. Rashikha Rao, Kirti Patil, YB Sarangi.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think, like I said, I've been very fortunate, and if you say journalism has changed, it has indeed. But it changed when I was new in the profession. Times were changing from what it was. Communication went through revolution. So we could, that was one big change, if you could notice. But because of the social media today, there is too much of information available too easily. So I think that has led to this, what should I say, information glut. And like you say, stories can be made from one tweet. But that cannot be termed journalism, because as a journalist you will have to work hard on your story.
Yes.
I mean, you can't just from one tweet. It's not fair. And also, like, I grew up interacting with sportsmen, and that was one of the early lessons I learned from my boss. He never liked it, calling him a boss, Mr. KP Mohan, and that's why I told one of the early interns at the Hindu, Ritesh Gupta, that you have to go and watch and write. So that doesn't happen when you see a tweet, Mehran, and but it leads to there is a lot of toxicity. But the other side is that you also happen to connect with people. See, if there was no Twitter, you and I wouldn't be chatting here. So there are some good things also coming out of it. I mean, what is your view? How do you look at it? I'm very keen to know your view.
No, you're right. Of course, it's easier with connecting with people, and many people I know who, of course, who are their jobs are dependent on social media. Now there are whole social media teams in every, even non-media also, in media houses and everywhere.
True.
Of course, that your point is true. You can't. To be a true journalist, you just can't sit in an office and out some tweet and then do a story with add some background, add a headline. You need to, of course, step out.
Yes, you have to step out.
And with that, when you said about interacting with players, that thing is also very interesting, because now I think journalists don't have access to dressing rooms. I think maybe you used to visit dressing rooms and your contemporaries. I think that would have been a great experience.
Of course it was, and that is why, like I said, I was fortunate. Even journalists of my era were fortunate. We had direct access to a player, and we never had to go through a manager. So I feel sorry for today's journalists who are dependent on these managers, and who actually act like stumbling blocks. I have known some former journalists becoming managers of these cricketers, and then they don't facilitate. They become a block. And they forget, I mean, they fail to understand that before taking up this manager's job with a particular sportsman, he himself would have been a
same.
journalist.
Running.
So he
Yeah,
has been, he knows what it is to be on the other side. So instead of facilitating, they act very pricey, and they, like I said, they hardly help you. So, but I will also blame the cricketer or the player or the
yeah,
sportsman for being too dependent on these managers when it comes to media interaction. I mean, Mehran, I'm so
yeah,
sure
yeah,
if tomorrow you become a player, a top player, you would know the good journalists with whom you can
yeah, of course.
interact. Yeah, because the trust is there. You would have seen the quality of writing that helps you. But unfortunately, these managers, these former journalists turned managers,
Yeah,
they hardly help.
that's true. And also you've been covering Delhi cricket also a lot from a long time. So how do you see cricket in Delhi evolving? There's a lot of course, the BDCA has faced a lot of politics, and even we've seen even fist fights and all the dhakka also happened a lot in this politics. And then, so
Yeah,
how do you see that? Yeah,
well, it's been like that ever since I came. I remember when in my first year of journalism, I watched Mr. Bishan Singh Bedi take on the administration,
yeah,
topple them, and he became the secretary of the DDCA. He did quite a few good things, but then he was dislodged from that position
yeah,
because the vested interests in DDCA, they had the proxy votes, which Mr. Bedi did not have. So they
mm,
let him down very badly. And Delhi has been always a very unpleasant place for
yeah,
cricketers, for journalists, and administrators. Over the years, they have hardly looked to change that impression. But the late Mr. Arun Jaitley, at
yeah,
least he gave the place a stadium.
mm,
We have a stadium in
yeah,
place of whatever the ground was. And his son, Rohan Jaitley, I can say he is doing quite a few good things. He has I mean, he has been in the good books of these cricketers now. He's looking after their
good.
interests. And as we speak today, Mehran, today only I learned that he was instrumental in clearing the payments of cricketers and the support staff, including
Oh, that's
umpires
good.
and bowlers. All their payments from 2016 onwards, which were
Oh,
pending, he has cleared them. So, which is a good thing because
that's a good.
during pandemic, if you get
Yeah,
such
yeah,
financial help, it is a good thing. And he's been working hard. He has, at least he has kept his promises.
yeah, that's
So it is looking good, but depends how long they will allow him to work,
yeah,
because there are some forces in Delhi, in the DDCA, who don't really work for cricket.
yeah.
So
That's just.
really, really bad.
Yeah, and so one more thing which we have been, there's a lot of debate of been happening, especially with women's cricket. There
Huh.
was some news about the dues not being cleared, the prize money, while I sure then it became an outrage, it was cleared. Now the women's team has also gone to England, but I see a lot of people tweeting also that where we are having practice matches of the men's team. We have almost every day we have updates, videos, and what's happening with the women team. Nothing is coming up today. So I think maybe they saw the outrage and the BCA women handle tweeted some photos. So how do you see how till when will women's cricket be really so sidelined, and what's the way ahead? I don't know what's going on since years and what the solution for this is.
Well, if you see, women's cricket has come a long way from what it used to be.
Yeah,
The pay structure has improved. They're getting contracts. They're getting to play in good stadiums. They're getting to stay in good hotels. Unlike what it used to be in the past, when they were paid very poorly, they traveled very poorly. The accommodation was, sometimes they would stay in dormitories, which was terrible. Sometimes three women in one room. That was also very bad, but it has undergone a change. Things are looking up. Of course, not the way they would want.
yeah,
Probably they are right when they say that they need. There should be a hike in the pay
mm,
structure of the allowances they get. But I think there is also some BCCI feels that it is related to your performance. once you start performing well, you start doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
start to get to play more. See, my main this thing is against the BCCIs, they should organize more cricket for the women
Yeah.
players. They hardly get to play. And now, of course, they are in England. They will be playing one day series, T20 series, a test match after a long
Yeah,
time.
after so many years. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go to Australia later to play a pink ball test match. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for women cricketers. Now it is up to them. If they perform well, I'm sure they can stand up and demand that they should be treated much better. But I'm happy for women cricketers because they are getting good mileage. Their presence in the media is also much enhanced than what it used to be. Plus the fact that more and more girls are coming to play because these academies, the coaches are saying that they're overwhelmed by requests from parents to bring their daughters to the venue and not just
That's true.
sons, as it used to
Yeah,
be
that's
earlier.
good. Yeah.
So I think women's cricket is in for a good time, and a good performance in England, I'm sure will do a world of good to their image.
That's good. And इंग्लैंड की बात हो ही रही है तो एक चीज और आपसे पूछनी थी. अब इंग्लैंड ये वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप फाइनल आ रहा है, तो आपको क्या लगता है इसमें क्या फेवरेट? तो खैर अब बताइए आपका फेवरेट, आपको क्या लगता है मतलब कौन फेवरेट होगा? और
नहीं,
कंडीशंस को
इसमें
मतलब देख के
हाँ सही कह
तो
रहे हो
बारिश का भी
मेरा।
शायद हो रहा है, बारिश का भी शायद काफी डिस्टर्बेंस होगा इसमें.
हाँ, बारिश हो गई तो बहुत खराब होगा क्योंकि पहली बार ये वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप हो रही है और उनकी गलती है कि भैया आपने ऐसी जगह क्यों करवाया जहां बारिश होने के चांस हैं।
हाँ हाँ
क्यों नहीं आप इसको इंडिया में करवा देते? अब बायो बबल में जब टेस्ट करवाना था तो इंडिया में करवा देते, आप चाहे न्यूजीलैंड में करवा देते या कोई ऐसी जगह करवा देते जहाँ पे बारिश के चांसेस नहीं थे और उनको
यूएई
मालूम है
कराए थे
इसको।
हर जगह. अब
जी
अच्छी
हाँ,
यूएई हो रही थी, यूएई में हुआ था.
जी हाँ, यूएई में करा देते और यहाँ पे उनको मालूम है कि बारिश के हमेशा चांसेस होते हैं, बट लेट अस होप कि बारिश ना हो। पर जहां तक आपने पूछा फेवरेट की बात है, मैं समझता हूँ भारत ही फेवरेट रहेगा क्योंकि बैटिंग बॉलिंग में सुपीरियर हैं। बेशक न्यूजीलैंड ने इंग्लैंड को हराया और कुछ प्रैक्टिस भी मिल गई है उनको, भारत को नहीं मिली है प्रैक्टिस। लेकिन मेहरान आजकल अगर आप देखिए इतने क्रिकेट खेलते हैं ये लोग कि ठीक है 15-20 दिन अगर आपने प्रैक्टिस नहीं की है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपका गेम नीचे आ जाएगा। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आप ना आप एक प्रैक्टिस अगर एक मैच खेल लेते प्रैक्टिस मैच और भी अच्छा होता, पर मैं नहीं समझता हूँ कि इससे कोई प्रेशर बनेगा विराट कोहली और उसकी टीम के ऊपर। उनकी तैयारी है और मेन चीज आप देखें मेंटली स्ट्रांग टीम है और उनको एक जीतने की आदत पड़ गई है। जैसे ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जीते, इंडिया में जीते इंग्लैंड के साथ, तो ये एक अच्छी आदत होती है अगर आप जीतना आपको पसंद आए। तो मुझे लगता है न्यूजीलैंड को आप हल्का मत आंकिएगा। हाँ बिल्कुल, क्योंकि बड़ी खतरनाक टीम है वो। हाँ, डेंजरस टीम है और हमेशा उन्होंने कंसिस्टेंटली परफॉर्म किया है। अगर आप देखें पिछले 30 साल में कभी भी आप ये नहीं कह सकते मेहरान कि बिल्कुल न्यूजीलैंड की टीम खत्म हो गई। अब जैसे आज हालत श्रीलंका की है या वेस्ट इंडीज की है, अब बांग्लादेश की, जी हाँ, जिम्बाब्वे, साउथ अफ्रीका, देखिए उनकी क्रिकेट पीछे बिल्कुल नीचे लग गई है। पर न्यूजीलैंड का कभी ऐसा नहीं था, वो हमेशा कंसिस्टेंटली खेलते रहे हैं। कोई भी आईसीसी का टूर्नामेंट होता है उसमें सेमीफाइनल में तो पहुंचते ही थे, फाइनल में पिछले 2 वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल में पहुंचे हैं और पिछला वर्ल्ड कप नहीं जीत पाए, वो तो सबको मालूम है क्या हुआ उनके साथ। पर मुझे लगता है ये साउथहैम्पटन में बड़ा अच्छा क्लोज टेस्ट मैच होगा। बेशक जैसा आपने बोला बारिश ना गिरे भाई।
हाँ बस। और सेम वन मोर थिंग, ये तो चलता ही रहेगा. देन नाउ द इंडियन another team is going to Sri Lanka during this time, so that's a very I think in the last 4-5 years we have been discussing about India's bench strength and India is having a lot of good big pool of players. Now we have a full 20 plus man squad going there, and still there are some players are left which we think, oh, this is unlucky, like Unatkat or some other players. So how do you see this? Do you see this developing over the last 2-3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Since when do you think this?
ये अगर आप मेहरान, ये जब से इन्होंने अंडर 19 को जितना तवज्जो दिया है ना बीसीसीआई ने कि आप अंडर 19 को स्ट्रॉन्ग कीजिए, एंड व्हाट दे डू इज दे पिक players from the under 16, groom them to under 19, and then they keep an eye on them. India A में जाते हैं आप, फिर आप नेशनल क्रिकेट एकेडमी का भी बड़ा रोल है, वहाँ पे आप जाके अच्छी बातें सीखते हैं, टेक्निकली अच्छे खिलाड़ी बन के निकलते हैं. तो ये जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, ये जो ग्रूमिंग प्रोसेस है, 16, 19, 23 इंडिया ए, फिर आप सीनियर टीम के लिए खेलते हैं, वो बहुत स्ट्रांग है इंडिया का. जो इंडिया का जूनियर क्रिकेट है, मुझे लगता है वर्ल्ड में सबसे स्ट्रांग है. उसकी वजह से ये हम देख रहे हैं कि एक टीम इंग्लैंड में चली गई है और जो दूसरी टीम माफ कीजिए श्रीलंका गई है, वो भी स्ट्रांग है. मतलब बिल्कुल आप ये नहीं कह सकते हैं कि हार के आएगी ये टीम, बराबर श्रीलंका को हराएगी. शिखर धवन कप्तान है, उसमें अगर आप देखें कोई ऐसा खिलाड़ी नहीं है जो इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट खेलने के लायक नहीं है. सब तैयार हैं. कुछ एक यंगस्टर्स को उन्होंने ठीक मौके पे चांस, सकारिया जैसे गए हैं, तो उनका चयन, अगर वो इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट खेलेंगे, वो चयन अच्छा है. तो मुझे लगता है कि इसमें 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 प्लेयर तो ऐसे हैं बहरान, जो आने वाले 1-2 सालों में आप देखेंगे कि भारतीय टीम में उनको जो है उनका शुमार होगा. और एंड आई थिंक इट इज ऑल्सो प्रोसेस वेयर आपको जितनी क्रिकेट हो रही है, आपको थोड़ा रोटेशन भी करना पड़ेगा खिलाड़ियों का, वरना बर्नआउट इश्यू होता है, इंजरीज होती हैं. अब आप देखिए मोहम्मद शमी इतना बेहतरीन बॉलर है, पर इंजरी की वजह से कितनी बार वो खेल नहीं पाता है, अपना बेस्ट नहीं दे पाता है. सो ऐसे आपको खिलाड़ी को बचाना है इंजरी से और बर्नआउट होने से.
So just the last question. Now the IPL the second edition will be now probably will be held in UAE. So it's almost confirmed. Now I don't understand. The first तो नहीं हुआ, वो तो पता था outrage बहुत हुआ, and it was during बिल्कुल peak during the COVID pandemic was ravaging Delhi. And now do you think it was necessary to just fit this the second part in this calendar, or they should have just cancelled it? Because many players will not come. England players most probably won't be there. Then some Australian players will also drop out. Comment has already said Bangladeshi players might not be there, and West Indies का भी कुछ पता नहीं. They are talking to CPL board, the West Indies cricket board, to just adjust the CPL. So just the money which the loss का वाला डर है या क्या?
Money is definitely crucial. और अगर आप देखिए मेहरान कि it can be very tough on the franchisee who invest. Why should they lose money? And just because the tournament has not been held, it is not for no fault of theirs. And also in turn, if you see, players will also benefit. They will get their payments. The broadcaster also has to be, you have to keep the interest of the broadcaster also in mind. जिन्होंने इतना पैसा दिया है आपको, आप उनको क्रिकेट दीजिए, आप उनके लिए विंडो क्रिएट कीजिए, क्योंकि broadcaster has a huge role to play. They bring you cricket to your drawing room. They ensure the popularity and आप visibility देखिए ना गेम की कितनी होती है, किसी खिलाड़ी की होती है. So I think these are the issues which would have compelled them to kind of work hard to create a window. And it is good they have ready facilities available in UAE, जहाँ पे कानून इतना सख्त है कि आपका बायो बबल टूट नहीं सकता है जैसे इंडिया में हो गया. UAE तो सबका फेवरेट डेस्टिनेशन भी है इस वक्त, सिर्फ not just for cricket, even for tourism. Whole lot of people are going there. So I think there's nothing wrong as long as the players are benefiting. And when the players benefit, I don't think anybody should be complaining, because ultimately they are the biggest stakeholders of the game. Players की वजह से है, ना कि administrators या आपकी वजह से या मेरी वजह से. Players नहीं होंगे, हम उनका ख्याल नहीं रखेंगे, तो game will suffer.
So thanks a lot for joining us. It was a really big pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully we'll
हाँ जरूर, we should do, we'll definitely meet again. And and I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for having me on your show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.